So this is the staircase between the first and the second floor at Château de Purnon. And when we first arrived, I was exploring in this void under the staircase, and I came upon hundreds of children's shoes. And I gathered them out and started to organise them into pairs. And one of our neighbours came over and saw the shoes all arranged there and said, "Where are they from?" And when I explained that we'd found them under the staircase here, he was shocked and astonished, and he said, "You must put them back." He said, "These shoes, these children's shoes, are warding off evil spirits, and it's essential that you leave them exactly where you found them." So of course, not wanting to enrage any evil spirits, we quickly put them back under the staircase, and they're still here today. And this is one of my favourite things. One of the things that we love about Purnon is the collection of furnishings that were bespoke made for the chateau by the carpenters who worked here during the chateau's original construction. This bed is one of the chateau's original beds. What I really love about this bed are these rails that come out beneath the bed like this. The bed frame has been placed on casters, and the maids would have been able to use these rails to roll the bed out so that they could change the sheets and blankets easily from both sides of the bed. This is another one of my favourite things, and Mademoiselle Truffe is one of Flick and my absolute all-time favourite things. Well, we're on the second floor, and throughout the whole history of Château de Purnon, there has never been plumbing on the second floor. So how did people staying up here get water? Well, they used this hand pump here, and the servants looking after them would have pumped water up. They would have put it in these pitchers, and these pitchers and bowls would have been placed in the different bedrooms, and before people retired at the end of the day, or when they woke up in the morning, they would have had a pitcher of fresh water so they could brush their teeth, wash their face, or whatever. And these little reminders of daily life here at Château de Purnon over the last couple of centuries, well, these reminders are one of my favourite things. Take a look at this device that's located in the chateau's entrance. It's dated 1785, and it has the word in Latin, meridianum, written across the top. So what exactly is it? Well, it's a solar timekeeping device, but unlike a Roman sundial, which tells the time each hour whenever the sun is shining, this is a very particular device. It only tells us the time at the moment of the winter solstice on the 21st of December at solar noon when the sun reaches its highest point in the sky in this part of the world. Now, how does it work? Well, at that moment, the sun should shine through this small disc that's positioned outside of the chateau. The disc is called a gnomon, and when the sun reaches that point, it should shine through here and illuminate the exact point on this solar timekeeping device. What a great reminder of the 18th century obsession with scientific discovery and new knowledge that was part of the Age of Enlightenment. And this is another one of my favourite things. We're only just starting to uncover the vast treasure trove of books that have been abandoned here at the chateau over the last couple of centuries. Take a look at this one. This is a copy of The Marriage of Figaro. Now, most of us know The Marriage of Figaro as an opera, one of the most famous operas by Mozart. But before it was an opera, it was a play by the renowned French playwright Pierre Beaumarchais. And this copy here, look, it dates from January 1785. Now, The Marriage of Figaro was only performed publicly for the first time on the 27th of April 1784. So this has to be one of the oldest copies of this play anywhere in France and therefore anywhere in the world. The play was a bitter denunciation of the privileges of the noble class here in France and throughout Europe, and it really played a key role in fermenting the intellectual debates that would ultimately lead to the French Revolution. In fact, Napoleon Bonaparte wrote that The Marriage of Figaro was the revolution put into action. And we absolutely love that we have a copy of that play here in our collection here at Purnon. And this is another one of my favourite things. One of the things that Flick and I love about Purnon is the English park that sits on the chateau's southern side. When we first arrived at Purnon, we uncovered these plans for a vast French garden that surrounded the chateau. Now, we'd assumed that with the French Revolution, these plans were never actually executed. So imagine our surprise when our heritage architect informed us after a detailed archaeological survey that these plans were actually carried out. Imagine, at the start of the 19th century, Château de Purnon was surrounded by a vast jardin à la française, a French garden with all of its geometrical shapes and patterns, its parterres, its hedges. It must have been a sight to behold. And these are the plans, the original plans that guided the architect and the gardeners who constructed and then maintained this incredible park. This is another one of my favourite things. I'm holding here a letter that was written by the Marquise, the wife of Antoine Charles Achard de la Haye, to the French Minister for Finance. Now, a little bit of context. This letter was written at the height of the French Revolution. The Marquis himself had fled France to fight with the armies fighting abroad, seeking to overturn the French Revolution. The minute he did that, he was declared an enemy of the state, and all of his possessions, the chateau itself, were all liable to confiscation. And so when the French government officials arrived here at the chateau to carry out the order of confiscation, the Marquise herself, who was here alone with just her children, swung into action to try and defend the chateau and to protect the family's possessions. She wrote this letter explaining that her husband had effectively abandoned her, that the possessions at the chateau, many of them were in fact hers and not his, and they had no legal right to take them away. And unbelievably, her pleas were successful, and Château de Purnon and so much of the furniture and the furnishings that were inside the chateau were spared the fate that befell so many other chateaux throughout France that were destroyed or damaged during that tumultuous period. This is another one of my favourite things. This tiny space would have been a bedroom for one of the maids that worked here at Purnon. This side of the chateau housed the bedroom of Madame de la Montbarrasset, the Marquis's mother-in-law, and this would have been the room for her servant. And look, it's even got her bell so that Madame de la Montbarrasset could summon her servant whenever she needed her. Whenever we come up here, we have such mixed emotions. It's a real insight into what a hard life it must have been being a servant at the end of the 18th century. The maid had to clamber up that tiny staircase with the small piece of rope to support her. She was at the beck and call of the noble person that she worked for, who could summon her simply by ringing a bell. It's a tiny room. She didn't have much space, and obviously she owned practically nothing in this world. But on the other hand, there's natural light, and perhaps for a working person in France at the end of the 18th century, this was much better than living on a farm during the cold winter months, often hungry, always impoverished. You can see here that our stonemasons have reached this point on the restoration of the facades. They're working on the stone windowsill right here. And this tiny room with its bell is another one of my favourite things. Hunting has always been important to life here at Château de Purnon. And back in the 18th and the 19th century, and even sometimes today, they hunted on horseback. It's called the chasse corps, and the teams would have worn these uniforms. And we found one here at Château de Purnon, and it's really quite magnificent. The buttons on the front carry the coat of arms of the de Rochequerie family, from whom we purchased the chateau. This would have been their hunting team, and they would have hunted in the forest that surrounds the chateau. But check this out. This is Purnon's Pavillon de la Chasse. It's a hunting rest station. They hunted in winter and they would have left in the morning with the chateau behind them, riding with the hunting teams. And this would have been the halfway point during the hunt. They would have rested here, perhaps watered the horses, and then in the afternoon they would have ridden home with the chateau in front of them. And like so many of the things that we absolutely love here at Château de Purnon, this is a reminder of what life would have been like in the chateau's heyday. And this is another one of our favourite things.
Dad?
Yeah?
I have something I think you're going to like. It's a new member of the robot family.
Something to clean the bottom of the pool?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it goes in the water?
The Spino.
Oh God.
Should we put it in?
Spino E1. I think we'll take it out of the box first.
Okay, let's do that.
Throw that away. Working modes, all floor, wall, eco.
So this is made by Mammotion, the company that make our amazing lawnmower robots. Ooh la la!
Pretty smick and polished there.
Should we grab him? Oh my gosh, it doesn't look like you have to do anything. Should we do something we never do?
Read the instructions.
Charging, power on select mode, enter water, working, exit water, clean after use. Dad, I think this is foolproof.
Sounds too easy.
Oh, that's to clean.
Oh, that's the cleaning basket. That's good, that's convenient. Better take the whatever's in there out.
Oh yeah, good.
Like instructions.
I think we use the existing Mammotion app actually.
Okay.
So let me put it on the app that we've got. Wow. That's amazing. I can't believe it climbs up the walls. I feel like we should pour a rosé and just sit back and watch it, Dad.
So thanks for joining us, and remember, if you'd like to follow the restoration of Château de Purnon more closely, we post frequent updates on Instagram, we post an exclusive weekly video for our Patreon and YouTube members. Otherwise, just hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and we'll keep you updated here.